Today, we are decoding the emotional blueprint of our most important relationships. We're going to explore why a simple, enthusiastic, "that's awesome," can be way more powerful than some grand romantic gesture. And also, how four very common habits can predict a breakup with, well, pretty shocking accuracy. Let's dive right in. I love this quote from the philosopher Mikhail Bakhtin. It really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The idea is that we don't really exist in a vacuum, right? We actually find and define ourselves through our connections with other people. It's a pretty deep thought, but as we're about to see, it's something science now backs up in a big way. Our relationships are absolutely fundamental to who we are. So, what is that invisible force? What's the emotional glue that holds our partnerships, our families, and our friendships together? It's something we all feel, all the time, but we often struggle to even name it, let alone manage it. Well, the answer is our emotions. The best way to think about them is as the living language of our social world. You see, the real key to building lasting bonds isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about learning to speak this emotional language fluently, with empathy and with skill. It's what lets us truly see and be seen by the people who matter most to us. And honestly, the stakes for learning this language are incredibly high. Just take the story of the Pulitzer Prize-winning music critic Tim Page. Now, he lives with high-functioning autism, and he's talked about how he struggled to decode the emotional world of other people. He described his life as a kind of parallel play, like he was living alongside people, but always feeling totally separate. It's such a powerful reminder that without that emotional fluency, we can feel profoundly alone, even when we're in a room full of people. Tim's story really shows us why connection is so vital. So now, let's get into the how. And let's start right at the beginning, with the spark. How does that fleeting attraction turn into a deep, committed love? Well, to get that, we kind of need to look at how our ideas about love itself have changed over time. For most of human history, marriage had almost nothing to do with love. It was basically an economic deal between families. But then, as you can see here, about 250 years ago, this radical new idea started to take hold, that maybe marriage should be based on love. And that emotional revolution is still going on today, as we keep redefining what a loving, committed partnership can look like. So the journey often starts with sexual desire. And from an evolutionary point of view, it's a super powerful motivator. It's that immediate physical gut reaction to cues that signal health and vitality, the thing that just pulls us towards someone. But as the relationship gets deeper, something new starts to happen. We call it romantic love. And this isn't just about that initial spark. No, this is a much more profound feeling of intimacy, devotion, and this is the really important part. A merging of identities. It's that exact moment when you and I starts to feel a whole lot more like we. Okay, now here is where it gets really interesting. These two feelings, desire and love, they actually operate on different principles. Check this out. Sexual desire is driven by uniqueness. There have been these speed dating studies that found when we feel a special, really focused attraction to just one person in the room, it's way more likely to be returned. But romantic love, that's all about integration. It's that slow, beautiful process of weaving two separate lives into one single story. But even the strongest bonds can be torn apart. Some groundbreaking research from psychologists John Gottman and Robert Levinson identified 4 specific emotional habits that are so destructive they can actually predict the end of a relationship with terrifying accuracy. So let's take a look at these major warning signs. They have this famous name for them, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The first one is criticism. And this isn't just, complaining about something. It's attacking your partner's actual character. Then you've got defensiveness, that immediate knee-jerk reaction to blame them back instead of just listening. The third is stonewalling. That's when you completely shut down and just refuse to engage. But that last horseman, that one is by far the most toxic of them all. And that fourth horseman is contempt. This is so crucial. Contempt is more than just criticism. It's a feeling of superiority. It's the sneering, the eye-rolling, the mocking humor. It communicates pure disgust, and it is the single greatest predictor that a relationship is going to fail. The power of these behaviors to predict a breakup is just stunning. In Gottman and Levinson's big study, they could predict with 93% accuracy which couples would end up divorced, just by watching them interact for a few minutes. 93%. That's not fate, you guys. That is the direct result of destructive emotional habits. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. Far from it. Because for every single one of those destructive habits, there is a powerful, constructive antidote. The same research that identified the poisons also gave us a really clear roadmap for building stronger, healthier, and more resilient connections. Let's look at the skills that build bonds that actually last. So, the antidotes are really a set of emotional skills that any of us can learn. They include things like celebrating good news, embracing humor and play, practicing what's called compassionate love, learning how to truly forgive, and making gratitude a regular, everyday habit. First up, capitalizing on the good. Now, this sounds so simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Research actually shows that how you respond to your partner's good news is even more important for the relationship than how you respond to their bad news. When you respond with genuine, active enthusiasm, not just a distracted, "oh, that's nice," you build deep trust and you show them that you are their biggest fan. Next, you've got to make room for humor and play. I mean, come on, every relationship has to deal with stress and just the boring parts of life. Laughter, inside jokes, a little bit of gentle teasing. They act like emotional shock absorbers. They can instantly de-escalate a tense moment and remind you that, at the end of the day, you're on the same team. So beyond that initial fiery passion, relationships that last are built on compassionate love. And this is not about putting your partner up on some pedestal. It's actually the exact opposite. It's about seeing them completely, flaws and all, and loving them anyway, with this sense of shared humanity. It is one of the strongest predictors of which couples will make it for the long haul. Forgiveness is another absolutely essential practice. And what's crucial here is that forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay or forgetting that you were hurt. It's an active emotional shift. It's a conscious choice you make to move away from resentment and toward a compassionate understanding of your partner as a fallible human being just like you. And that act directly brings you closer. And finally, let's talk about gratitude. This one little study shows its power perfectly. When researchers made people feel grateful, those people didn't just spend more time helping the person who'd helped them, they also spent way more time helping a complete stranger. So get this, gratitude doesn't just strengthen your bond with your partner. It literally makes you a more generous person in every part of your life. So, what is the big takeaway from all this science? It really boils down to a simple but pretty profound shift in how we think about relationships. Here it is. Great relationships aren't something you just find if you're lucky. They are built, piece by piece, day by day, through the conscious practice of these emotional skills. Connection isn't some destination you just arrive at. It's a daily practice. And that brings us to our final question for you. Looking at this whole emotional toolkit, from celebrating good news to practicing forgiveness, what is one small skill that you will consciously choose to practice this week in one relationship that really matters to you? Because the science is clear, even the smallest effort can make the biggest difference.